Over 1 in 5 people worldwide, 23%, said they felt lonely a lot of the day yesterday. That's Gallup's first global loneliness snapshot, published in 2024, and it isn't just a feeling. The World Health Organization recently called loneliness a, quote, global public health concern, unquote. Welcome back to Fierce Encouragement. This is the show that helps high-performing humans like yourself build those anti-fragile mindsets and those big, compassionate hearts. My name is Mark Walker, and today we're taking a sledgehammer to the myth that coaching is only for the broken, while giving you some science-backed practices to help meet loneliness with your own fierce self-compassion. So let's get right into it. I've heard this a lot lately. Coaching is only for people who are broken. And let's get real. Coaching isn't an emergency room visit for your shattered self. It's more of a performance gear for the committed. Olympic athletes themselves aren't broken. They're really hungry. They want to get after it. And even leaders who are, high performers already, well, they hire coaches because they're already playing big and they want to play even bigger. I like this quote from Kristin Neff, and she reminds us as a self-compassion researcher that, quote, self-compassion involves treating yourself just like you would treat your friends or family members even when they fail or screw up, unquote. So coaching isn't simply an externalized, to-do list, but it's kind of like a deeper kindness. It's a structured feedback mechanism. It honestly mirrors what's going on in our life. And it really is a strategy that can help accelerate your growth. So coaching is not just for people who are broken. I would push back and say coaching is a way to bring more self-compassion and accelerate your growth in your life, in your career, and in your relationships. Another objection that I hear quite often, the last couple weeks especially, is, quote, I need to check with my employer. I didn't think this would cost so much, unquote. And you know what? That's totally fair. And I would do the same thing. But here's the deal. Most of my clients tap everything from the $200 quarterly stipends to maybe full-on leadership developed budgets for their personal development. And some even expense coaching under that quote-unquote mental wellness area or those benefits you might get. But it's good. Ask your HR. You might be surprised. So I think checking with our employer, not as an objection, but as a way to get support and help, is a really important thing to look at wherever you're working. But I want you to remember this too. The price of coaching is finite, but the cost of staying stuck is compounding every day and every week and every month. Those missed promotions, those burned out days, those health dips or energy dips, if you will, one is a line item, and the other is really just a drain on your energy and a drain on your life. So take into consideration and remember that the price of coaching is finite, but staying stuck really can pull you down. There's a big pain point here, and I kind of addressed it at the top with that poll from Gallup, loneliness and feeling disconnected in our lives. In the U.S. alone, approximately 20% of all adults say they feel lonely every single day. That's the highest rate in over 2 years. The U.S. Surgeon General just recently warned us all that lacking social connection can raise our premature death rate up by almost 29 to 30%. This is about the same as maybe smoking a couple packs of cigarettes a day or a half a pack of smokes every day. Loneliness just drives up that stress hormone, cortisol. It drives up our anger and maybe our jealousy and that comparison that might seep into our consciousness with things like social media or watching too much about other people. It actually can also shrink our cognitive flexibility, making it really hard to change or pivot, or even to dream and to create with our imaginations. If we feel that simmering irritability and frustration just under the surface, well, you're not broken. You're actually biologically wired to connect with other people. And I think that's just a signal to make effort to biologically connect with people getting near them, even if it's just starting something small with a phone conversation if you've been really stuck lately. But remember that loneliness can jack up our stress hormones, and the way through it is to know that it's going to be harder to dream and to create, but the way through it is to just get some connection with people. Start really simple. There's a tool that we can employ here, and one that I like to go back to again and again for myself and that of my clients when they're dealing with loneliness or disconnection. And it's something that I call the notice, name, and nurture sequence. So 3 N's, or N to the third power. Now, psychologist Paul Gilbert talked about this compassion that we can raise for ourselves, and he used the quote, "It's a sensitivity to suffering in self and others with a commitment to try to alleviate it and prevent it," unquote. He also noticed that kindness and gentleness and warmth and compassion reduces the stress hormones in our body and acts like a basic vitamin for our minds. So seeing when we can connect with ourselves and just alleviate that stress we might be under, treat ourselves with a gentleness, treat ourselves with a warmth, and just like Kristin Neff shared earlier, treat ourselves with the compassion that we would a young child or dear friend. But back to this toolbox of noticing, naming it, and nurturing it, the first thing is to do is obviously notice your physical self. Feel your clenched jaw. Sense your racing mind. Notice what the energy is like for a moment in your body and in your mind. Next, we want to name it. We want to label it. This is loneliness, or this is stress. MRI studies have shown that even naming something, a distressing moment, cools the amygdala in our brain and can bring our prefrontal cortex or our creative cortex online. So just naming what we are, literally from the modern scientific study, shows that it helps cool our amygdala and comes into our prefrontal cortex and is more creative in creating what we want. So noticing it, naming it, and finally, step 3, nurturing it. Hand on your heart maybe, or maybe taking a nice, slow, deep breath, and then repeating to yourself, "I'm safe. This is hard right now. It's human. And may I be kind to myself right now." So noticing it, naming it, and nurturing yourself, repeating that you're safe. Can you be kind to yourself? And it is just hard in this moment. There's also another great tool that I've used again and again, and it's something that we can practice in the moment to moment. And maybe if we can't do the notice, name, and nurture, if we don't have that time, but is just a quick 2-minute self-compassion break. We want to put that hand on the heart. We want to inhale for 4, exhale for 6 counts, and whisper to ourselves that suffering is part of being human. And we could ask ourselves, what do I need most in this moment? Maybe it is just this break. Maybe it's just to give yourself consideration and know that you're not your thinking. And then commit to one tidy act in that moment. Maybe it's a water, maybe it's a stretch, maybe it's a walk, maybe it's a quick text to a friend or mentor. These 2 tools, the noticing, naming, and nurturing it, or the 2-minute self-compassionate break with hand on heart, whispering to yourself, asking what you want, and then committing to one tidy act. These are very powerful tools that if you use them every day, it can literally shift the way we look at the pain and loneliness and disconnection we're inevitably faced with in our lives. I think a quick confession for me here is that this week, I looked at some of the bad habits I had. And I got some Girl Scout cookies, and I ended up destroying a whole box of Thin Mints. And I skipped my lifting a couple days, going to the weight room. And I really just felt the blahs creeping in. Even though it's spring, there's something about the sun coming up, or I'm staying up later and just feeling a little tired. So I ran my own notice, name, and nurture loop, and I laced it up, and I recommitted to it every day during my morning meditation. And I doubled down on my training blocks. It was about progress for me, not perfection. I didn't feel like it when I got to the weight room all the time, or even when I sat down and looked at my notice, name, and nurture loop. but it did help me see what was going on, and especially around naming what state I was in. I think a journaling prompt and maybe a micro connection challenge here for you could be, well, the first prompt I'd like to share is this: where in my day do I feel most disconnected? Your first prompt is, where in my day do I feel most disconnected? Sometimes that can happen to us in the morning with our morning routine, maybe feeling rushed, or even when we get home with the family and all the demands of the evening creeping in, dinner, maybe getting the kids ready for bed. So where in your day do you feel most disconnected? And the second prompt here would be, what micro connection, maybe a 60-second text, maybe an eye contact hello with the wife or your partner, or maybe just 5 deep mindful breaths. What micro connection like that can you create for yourself in the next 24 hours? So I challenge you to do it. Prompt 1, ask in your day where you feel most disconnected. Prompt 2, where can you create a micro connection for yourself in the next 24 hours, and do it. And shoot me back a text via the show notes. I would love to celebrate you and your courage publicly if you'd like to. Otherwise, I do enjoy hearing it from the people I connect with. And so if today's episode sparked something for you and you're ready to turn your own awareness into some direct action, well, click on the link in the show notes for an application. I will look at each application personally, and we can get together and get a time set, and we'll craft a 3-point plan for your own biggest goals and see if coaching fits for you. And remember, you're not broken. You're becoming. One breath, one rep, one courageous conversation at a time. This has been Mark Walker. I really appreciate you sharing your time. Stay fierce. Encourage yourself kindly, and I look forward to you tuning in next time. Take care. Have a good day or an evening wherever you're at. Bye now.